I've tried to forget what happened that night. But every time I close my eyes, I feel the same cold breath brushing the back of my neck. Maybe speaking about it will help. Maybe it won't. But I'm the only one left who can tell what happened there. It started as a simple trip. A few hours through a rural stretch of land, completely isolated. Everyone always said that road had something wrong with it. Not because of accidents or crimes, but because people avoided talking about it. There's a kind of silence that isn't natural. One that feels intentional. That's the kind of silence that surrounded that place. The first sign that something was wrong came with the headlights. They didn't illuminate the asphalt. They slid over it, as if the road absorbed the light instead of reflecting it. It felt like driving over the mouth of something alive. I kept going, pretending nothing was happening, until I saw her. At first, she was just a silhouette on the side of the road. Thin, still, almost too still to be human. I slowed down because something inside me twisted violently, like a warning I shouldn't ignore. But when the car finally stopped, she had moved. Not walked, not approached, just shifted, appearing closer, her outline sharper against the darkness. My hands began shaking on the steering wheel. I don't scare easily, but something about her presence felt like stepping into water that's far too deep. You don't see the bottom, but you feel it pulling you down. I tried turning the car around, but the engine stuttered as if choking on the air itself. The lights flickered, and for a moment, everything was swallowed by an unnatural blackness. When they came back on, she was right in front of the car. Her face was pale in a way that wasn't just lack of light. It was drained, like everything alive had been scraped off her. Her eyes. I wish I could say she didn't have any, but the truth is worse. She had them. They were just looking at something I couldn't see. Not at me, not through me, but around me. As if something stood behind my shoulders, whispering things I wasn't yet allowed to hear. And then her mouth moved. Not open, not closed, just enough to form a shape that every instinct in my body recognized as wrong. I couldn't hear her at first. It was like the sound was forming behind my thoughts. When her voice finally reached me, it came like a cold hand pressing against my spine. You shouldn't have come alone. The air collapsed around me. I couldn't breathe, couldn't look away, couldn't even blink. And then she smiled. God, that smile. Her smile wasn't meant for me. Her smile didn't look human. It looked practiced, like she had seen someone smile once and tried to imitate it long after forgetting what emotions were supposed to feel like. The worst part wasn't the expression itself. It was the way the night reacted to it. The air around her seemed to tighten, pulling inward, as if the darkness was responding to her like a living thing. My chest grew heavy, and for a second I thought I was having a panic attack, until I realized the car windows were fogging from the outside. I don't remember deciding to move. My body acted before my mind caught up. I threw the car into reverse, tires screeching, gravel flying. But the moment I looked into the rearview mirror, she was there, standing behind the car, the exact same distance from me as before. But she hadn't walked. She hadn't turned. She was just there, like the darkness was rearranging itself to place her wherever it wanted. Henry. I floored the accelerator. The road bent unnaturally, almost like it was leading me in circles. The trees on each side felt closer, pressing in, their branches arching over the asphalt like ribs closing around a heart. Every time my headlights flickered, she appeared again. On the left side of the road, then on the right, then ahead. Always the same posture. Always the same empty gaze directed past me, like she was waiting for something to catch up. I felt the pressure first. A cold weight settling on the seat behind me. Not a sound, not a movement, just the shift of balance that tells you someone is there, sitting where no one should be. My hands tightened on the wheel until my knuckles went numb. I didn't want to look. Every instinct screamed that if I turned my head even an inch, I would finally see what she'd been looking at the whole time. But then a voice spoke. Not hers, not human. A whisper that vibrated through the inside of my skull. Keep driving. She won't touch you. Yet. Yet. The word drilled into me like ice. Henry. The road finally straightened. The suffocating trees pulled back, and for one brief moment, I thought I had escaped. But the car slowed on its own. The engine didn't fail. It obeyed. Like something else had decided it was time for me to stop. The headlights flickered one last time, showing her figure standing in the middle of the road again. But this time, she wasn't alone. There was something towering behind her, a darker shadow against the night itself, with angles that didn't make sense, and limbs that didn't bend the way they should. And she wasn't staring past me anymore. She was staring right at me. Then her voice came again, soft and cracked. Now you see why you weren't meant to come alone. The engine died. The lights went out, and everything around me began to move. When the lights died, the darkness didn't just fall. It rose. It crawled up the windows like liquid tar, swallowing every shape, every line, every piece of the world outside. I couldn't see her anymore, but I felt her, closer than ever, like she was pressed against the glass, her breath dripping down the surface. And behind her, that other presence, the towering shape I had only glimpsed, began to move. Not with footsteps, not with sound, but with weight. The kind of weight that bends the air, that makes your bones feel too small. I grabbed the door handle. It didn't budge. Not locked, just held, as if invisible hands rested on the metal, waiting for me to try harder, so they could squeeze. Then the whisper returned, the same disembodied voice that had sat behind me. You left one behind. My heart thrashed. I didn't know what it meant. I came alone. I brought no one. But the voice wasn't talking about people. It was talking about something I had carried inside. Something I had brought into their territory the moment I entered that road. The darkness pressed tighter around the car. And then I heard scratching. Tiny at first, then deeper. Metal bending, paint peeling, something dragging its nails along the roof in long, deliberate lines. I finally screamed. And that was when the door unlocked. Not clicked, not opened. Unlocked. Like permission being granted. I didn't think. I didn't check. I ran. The road behind me twisted, but I didn't look back. I felt them following. Her slow, impossible steps, and the deeper, heavier movement behind her. A shadow that didn't need shape to terrify. The forest churned like a living throat, trying to pull me in again. But I kept running, until the first artificial light appeared over the horizon. A distant street lamp, flickering pale yellow. The moment its glow touched me, the pressure lifted. The air changed. The world returned. I collapsed on the pavement, shaking, lungs burning, throat dry from screaming. I looked back one last time. She stood at the edge of the darkness, her body stiff, her expression frozen. The tall shadow behind her slowly dissolved into the tree line. But her eyes stayed locked on me. Not angry, not pleading, just patient. As if she knew something I didn't. Weeks have passed. Everyone I tell the story to thinks I imagined it. The shock, the night, the isolation. But I know the truth. Because every time I pass a mirror, there's a small patch of fog that forms behind my reflection, even when I'm not breathing anywhere near it. And sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I hear her voice again. Soft, close. You still owe us the one you brought. And I don't know what terrifies me more. Not knowing what one she meant, or knowing that one day they'll come collect it. Henry.